What's up, everybody? Welcome to Keto Rewind. I am Jess. Thanks for clicking on this video. I have quite the video for you today. Normally I try to keep them short and sweet, but this one is something I need to explain quite a bit on. I literally am doing a big direction change on this channel. But before I jump into that, I want to make sure I express I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not an expert, I'm not a nutritionalist. All I am sharing on this channel is my struggle overcoming morbidly obese, trying to fix it into a healthy weight, living keto, low carb, high protein, doing all the things. So this is my story, my experience with losing weight, battling obesity, and what has worked and what has not worked for me. I've been doing this now for 6.5 years since I started this channel, since I started this new direction. So I thought it was time to get a lot of stuff off my chest, to wipe the slate clean, try a new direction, and bring you guys along with me. So what do you say we get to the good stuff and see what all the fuss is about? And before we jump into that, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Element. Element electrolytes are my hands down favorite brand of electrolytes. These are my go-to, the only ones I reach for. My whole family uses these. My kids have recently really started to depend on them through youth sports, competitive youth sports, and they are my favorite. Mainly because each packet is backed by a science-backed ratio of electrolytes. So you're getting 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium in each packet. In addition to being gluten-free, sugar-free, no artificial flavors, fillers, colors, dyes, all that kind of thing. Just a delicious and refreshing and hydrating tasting electrolyte. Especially now with the Texas heat. We had a softball tournament this past weekend. We have one next weekend. It's like 98 degrees out. We're outside all day sweating. Even me just sitting in the bleachers watching my kids play, I'm just drenched. So I carry along my water bottle. Right now I've been mixing 2 flavors. I've been mixing lemonade and watermelon to make a watermelon flavored lemonade. So I'll put half of each packet in my water, and I sip on it all throughout the game. Oh, it's so refreshing and keeps me hydrated. So clearly watermelon has been a favorite of the flavors that I reach for. My husband loves citrus. My kids even like the citrus and orange. If you'd like to give Element a try, you can use my special link down below. It's only available for the Keto Rewind community, but you can use it as many times as you want. But you can get this free sample pack with all their popular flavors and give it a try, find your favorite, and enjoy. So all you have to do is go to drinkelement.com/keto rewind and get yourself this free sample pack with any order. Thanks Element for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into the good stuff. Okay, so it has been a long 6.5 year journey, a weight loss journey that I have been on. I have been on one heck of a ride. I don't regret anything that I've been doing the past 6.5 years. I have learned so much about myself. I have documented as much as I can. I have helped as many people as I can. It's just been life-changing. However, it's been 6.5 years and I'm not at my goal weight. I got to my goal weight and then I gained about half of it back. So I lost over 130 pounds just to regain like 70 pounds. And that was just not acceptable because that means it's like I had success, but I didn't finish, right? I didn't find a way to keep it off. I can lose weight all day long. I know exactly how to lose weight. I know how to lose weight fast. But I don't know how to keep the weight off once I've lost it. And that seems to be a reoccurring problem. It's why the weight loss industry is such a failure for companies. Like nobody can make this one size all approach profitable and actually have something work, right? Because we all have an individual journey, an individual need. We have individual wants and desires. Some things work for some people, other things don't work for people, So it's like there's just no right or wrong answer. So I have tried living in both extremes. Before I began my keto journey, I got to 309 pounds. I overate. I didn't move my body enough. It's like, it was one of those things where you don't want to blame becoming a mom and all the pregnancies and all this time you lose, and you know, I don't want to blame that on there. It just happened. I got fat. I got overweight. It happened. So then I decided enough was enough. Went keto, lost 130 pounds really quickly. It was like a little over a year. I can't remember exactly, but like 14 months or so. And then I thought I was cured, you know, and then you just start letting little things back in, and those little things, you know, you justify just a little bit of a time, and a couple pounds creep back on, a couple more pounds, and before you know it, you have regained like 70 pounds, you know, and then you try to lose it again, do the same things, but it's just like this vicious habit of just, I can lose the weight, but I just can't keep it off. So I sat down this summer with my husband, had a heart-to-heart, being like, what gives? What am I doing wrong? Like, how do I fix this? How, you know, I just can't keep doing this. I can't keep doing this anymore. Like, I'm exhausted trying to lose weight, right? And to keep it off. So it's like that quote, what is it, Albert Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and not achieving a different result, you know? So that's kind of like how I feel I have been living for the past like 2 years. I did find success, and I've lost so much weight. I've learned so much about me and what I can do, and about my body and how my body works. So like, I have been, you know, paying attention to me for like the past 6.5 years, because I want this. I don't want to give up, right? But I'm also exhausted at the same time. And so I went from living one extreme of overeating to the other extreme of being so restricted that I just wasn't able to stay on one side of the balance. You know, I'm like, I'm living overeating, I'm not eating enough. I'm overeating, I'm, you know, being restricted. Then I feel so restricted, I overeat. And so it's just, this pendulum has just been swinging, right? And it's exhausting. So as I was speaking with my husband this summer, I'm like, come on, what do we do here? What am I doing? You're like, how can I fix this? So we threw a bunch of ideas at the wall. And as much as I didn't want to like give up on a keto low carb lifestyle, because for one, I do love eating keto and low carb. It's a great lifestyle, but it just isn't working. So I thought, well, you know, at the time I was like, I got to write some positives, some negatives, and then we're going to see after I write all that down, what does that say? What does that show, you know? So there's a lot more into this, but the main things for positives of staying and living a keto lifestyle was you can lose weight fast. You know, the weight can melt off. You're like, it is possible to lose weight living a keto and a low carb lifestyle. Absolutely. I'm here to say that. You can lose weight, right? It works. Also, you can feel amazing in the process. I have felt some of the best moods and, you know, just feeling good in general, and just like everything just feels good on my body, you know, mentally, physically. It just feels amazing when you're eating that lifestyle. You're cutting all the crap out. You know, you're just eating real food, right? Also, insulin levels stabilized. You know, like I didn't have those hunger spikes, you know, like I wasn't hungry all the time. You know, it was easy to stick with it because I felt good, you know? And then, you know, at the end of the day, it is easy to do. It's pretty simple, you know? There's a lot of restricted foods off that list, and here's your list you can have. You know, it's meat, vegetables, protein, green vegetables, and protein. So overall, I don't have complaints with those. That's fantastic. Those are facts. But I also have a lot of negatives for that. And the first one is it's pretty darn expensive. All the sugars that you buy all the replacement sugars that replace like white table sugar, depending which brand, you know, whether it be monk fruit to erythritol to allulose to sucralose, you know, like all those sugars, they cost way more than a traditional white sugar, right? As well as the flours that you need to make all these, you know, things with, like the almond flours, the, you know, coconut flours, the psyllium husk. Like there's just so many food groups there's so many foods that I learned about that I never heard of before until I started the keto diet, right? But just in general, you're eating a higher protein meal. So, steak costs more than a box of pasta, right? Just, those are facts. It is a lot more expensive to eat healthy, to care about your health, than it is to just go through a drive-through, right? And have fast food, that kind of thing. Also, because keto typically is a more calorically dense food because it's a fat-based diet, the portion size gets a lot smaller. So a handful of nuts, like literally what fits in my hand, is like 200 something calories, whereas like this many grapes is like 12, like it's just one of those things where you can overeat a lot easier when you're eating a high fat diet. Not that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying in general, volume of food is completely different. And that's something you have to learn quick, because you can't lose weight if you're scarfing down 5 handfuls of nuts in a day, like it's just, you just killed your macros. You're going to be way over your calories. But that's just something to take into consideration. But for someone like me who likes to eat, that's a problem, because I'm done after I've had 14 nuts. That's all I can have. I want more. Also, with that list, it's very restrictive. There's a lot of foods that you can no longer eat. I won't go into it. It's obvious. It's a much more restrictive diet. Meat, fats, and some vegetables. That's what's allowed. It's like, that's it. And it's got to be a lot more, it's less processed, that kind of thing. So in addition to that, because it's like that, it's not so convenient. You can't just, have a steak hanging around. You have to cook it and all this other, like this. It's if you're wanting a snack or you want to do something like that, the convenience level goes away, because you have to make a lot of your foods when you're keto or low carb. A lot of restaurants aren't as accommodating. If you go to friends' houses, they don't eat that way, so you have to bring your own food. So it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just things you have to do, right? And sometimes those choices and everything makes it all worth it. But for me, these were all cons for me, living a very busy lifestyle. I also don't feed my kid keto. My kids keto, they eat like high protein, but they have a balanced, more balanced. Like I give them a lot more carbs because they're athletes. They do a whole nother diet that they follow versus me and my husband. So I'm making 2 meals basically, so it's inconvenient because I'm already busy. See, and then one of the main thing is it hasn't been sustainable for me long term. This was one of the ones that was that turning point. I could not ignore this one point. For me, yes, I can lose the weight. I can eat keto, low carb till the cows come home. I can all the protein, but I always felt like I'm missing out. I did miss rice. I did miss potatoes. Like a real potato. I don't want cauliflower potato salad. I want potato salad, right? I don't want the imitation. I want what I want. I want it to be potato salad. I want it to be, I want a sweet potato. I miss those things. Those things are forbidden in a ketogenic lifestyle. One of those things throws you way over the 20 carbs you can get in a day, and that's it is. So the volume of food also kind of did throw in a wrench, because it's easy to overeat. I don't pay attention to a lot of stuff, when I'm eating. So it's one of those things where it was just something that I can't stick to long term. And that's what I've been banging my head against the wall, because I keep wanting to do this. I want this to work, but I'm not able to stick with it. And that was something I had to accept, It's like, I just can't do it. I have not been able to find a way to make this lifestyle sustainable so that I don't feel like I'm missing out. I don't have FOMO. I don't have those intense cravings after I eat something, because I have restricted so many other foods in my wheelhouse into this small little box of foods I can have. And it was just one of those things where I didn't want to just stay in this box anymore. I wanted to have all the foods and not feel guilty about it. Within reason. I'm not saying I'm going to go eat a bunch of donuts and packaged foods and processed foods and sugar-laden foods. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, like a simple, the complex carbohydrate, like the potato, the cup of rice, like some blueberries, and not feel guilty about eating more than 7 blueberries, So it's just one of those things where instead of just taking so many things away, which enables a binging behavior that I didn't have before I started losing this weight. I just overate before, I didn't binge. But then I got into this like small box of things I'm allowed to have, and then it turned into more binging behavior because once I ate something, I couldn't stop eating it because I'd restricted it for so long, and then I didn't have control and I just let loose, and then all the guilt came on while you ate those foods and the emotional, psychological beatdown you give to myself because I ate those foods that are frowned upon, you're not supposed to eat on this way of life, and now I eat more, you know, so it's just this circle that's just been going around, but it all stemmed from sustainability. Like, I am wasting my time on something that I'm not going to keep up with. Like, I'm losing all this weight just to have to regain it again because I'm unable to find a way to eat it to be sustained on this way of life. So that was the number one reason I'm like, I can't keep doing this. You know, I'm exhausted. I'm not at my goal weight. I've been on a plateau for like 2 years. I have not budged. And I was like, that's not working either because I have this weight to get off. You know, I'm only halfway done. I want to be at the finish line. So with all that said, I'm going to make more videos about all of those topics in more detail. This is just like Cliff Notes or a summary and the reasonings why. But the plan for me for the next 60 days, kind of like 60 days plus the remaining of August, but basically the rest of August, September, and October. Because I don't want to do something in 2 weeks and have like like the result. Because again, it's about being sustainable. Can you keep doing it? Does it make sense? You know, if not, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board, right? Because I don't want to keep running into the same wall. I want to get over it. So this is going to be a trial process. I am not saying I'm 100% never keto again. I'm not saying that because I do love keto. What I am saying is for the next 2.5 months, I'm going to shift gears to a balanced lifestyle, meaning high protein is my focus and carbs and fats will fit in as they should with the balance. You know, like I'm not shunning something. I'm not, only having something. I'm not doing that restriction anymore because that doesn't work for me. So that does not mean, donuts are in that. I'm talking about healthy carbs and fats. And that means lots of salads. I love salads. That means potatoes. That means rice. That means random stuff, but that does not mean all the packaged crap that's at the store that's processed, full of sugar, full of all the crap. Like, I'm still not doing that processed game. I'm just adding a few things back in that makes me not qualify as keto or low carb. So, in general, like I'm talking 100 carbs or so a day, fats where they fall in with that. And then, 150 grams of protein or so is the goal. So I'll go all into that more, but the main thing is carbs and fat are going to be balanced. I'm not kicking stuff one way or the other. It's going to fit in how it fits in. And protein is my focus with the carbs and fats filling in the blanks equally. Because I've not lived in balance, and I don't think ever. It's always been an extreme. So why not switch it up, try living in balance, and take it from there. And with that said, I am going to have a heavy emphasis on meal prepping. Because I'm going to start tracking macros. Well, I've been tracking macros, but I'm saying for this challenge, tracking macros matters right now. Because if I make up a big meal prepping spread and I can get 8 meals out of it, I've already figured out the macros for each of those. It's already done. All I have to reheat. And I have been doing this for like 2 weeks now. And it has been so easy. Like to take, like Mondays, for instance, I'll go to the grocery store, get a bunch of things, and I'll make something in the crock pot or throw something on the grill and make like 8 meals at a time. And then we eat like 4 of them, and then I put 4 in the fridge or freezer. So I did that multiple times during the week. So I only cooked like 2 to 3 times over the whole week, but I made everything, meal prep wise, and it was all accounted for. It's portioned out, and I had this amazing feeling of zero guilt. Like when I finished my little prepared food that I made from what I want, and I had it portioned out, so it did contain the forbidden things. Like there was a half a cup of rice in one of them, you know, and it was like, ooh, feeling kind of, you know, rebellious today, but I'm just being silly. But I'm just saying in general, like loading it with vegetables, all the veggies, you know, and like having just so many more options that I can meal prep. And then all I did is just take it out when it was dinner time and eat it. So it was a time saver. I saved so much money and it was delicious. And I left like each meal happy. Like I didn't feel like I need to go back in the pantry and get something else. You know, like I didn't feel like I was missing out. I didn't feel like I failed. You know, so like my head was back on straight, you know, and then for the first time in a long time, it threw a spark back in my journey, you know? So the last time I weighed myself was like 2 weeks ago. I have already lost 5 pounds and I feel like it was effortless. Absolutely effortless. Like I felt like all I did was make a bunch of meals and ate them. Like I didn't feel like I was restricted. I didn't feel like it was a diet. I just ate foods and I portioned them out for balance, you know? They weren't like, so it was just enough, that was it, you know, and I only make 4 meals and there's, you know, 4 of me and my family, like 4 people in my family, like there was no room to go back and get seconds. And I can't believe how many times that I've gone back because, you know, I just served myself or whatnot and I made these same quantities before, but I only got like 6 meals out of them instead of 8 like I should have. Like, so all those times my husband and I would eat those extra, you know, 2 meals between the two of us, that was all extra that got added back on. That's why the weight slowly kept creeping back on. And you look back and you're like, oh my God, all those times I should have been getting 8 and I got 6. So those meals were, the extras were why the scale didn't budge, you know? But when you visually see it's like, oh man, you're like, there was plenty, you know, like, oh man, it was just eye-opening. So meal prepping, as much as I'm a type B personality, I'm not a huge planner, it's just not me, but it's kind of been like, I want to be like that. I'm kind of intrigued. I'm like, all right, well, there's a little something here. And the main thing is convenience. I am so busy with my girls playing sports, both of them at competitive high-level sports. We're not home, you know, so if I can find a day or time to meal prep, bunch of stuff, portion it all out, I can log it in my food diary, why not? You know, it's working. So for right now, that's the plan for the next, you know, 2.5 months. And then at the end of the 2.5 months, I think it'll be towards the end of November-ish, I think it is, or beginning, it's either November at some point. I will let you know my results, my conclusions, if this is something we stick with, or if I go back to finding some other solution to my weight loss journey. So, in addition to that, I'm not having added sugar. Like we're not adding sugar still. I still don't want sugar. But if it's in a blueberry, I'm not gonna sweat it. That's kind of like the main difference. I'm not adding sugar to anything that I make, but I'm not avoiding foods that have sugar in it. But a blueberry, I'd never gained 140 pounds off of eating blueberries. I ate it off of processed food loaded with sugar and all the seed oils. Like that's how I did it. I'm not blaming the blueberry for what processed foods did to my body and my choices and all, you know. So I want to make that very clear. I am in a high protein focus. So my goal is all the food I want is at least 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Period. So that means lots of cottage cheese, lots of Greek yogurt, and that stuff has carbs. So that's what I'm saying, like the carbs that I'm adding back in are like those kind of carbs. And so I hope that makes sense in where I'm going at. But I'm going to start filming my meal prepping and explaining more detail with what I'm doing. But I have been doing this now for like 2 weeks, and I have felt so relieved, like this world of pressure, just this elephant that's been on my back has just been removed. And it's like I'm breathing again. I feel like I'm happier, and it's like I'm relieved. I'm feeling just happy and content, satisfied, and it's like, oh man, it's addicting to feel like this because I have just been drowning for so long. So I hope that all makes sense. I will go into more detail I hope you understand where I'm coming from. We're not making any decisions today on permanent everything. We're just doing a trial run. I hope you watch and follow me along and see what happens. I totally get it if that's not for you. There's a million other channels out there that you can follow. But for me, this is about overcoming obesity more than anything. You know, finding a way to be consistent and something that I can stick to. You know, and that is what matters at the end of the day. Nobody's expert opinion, nobody's opinion what they think I should do. No rule book out there. No, I'm not listening. I'm tuning all that noise out, and I'm living for me for the first time, and I don't even know how long. Boundaries are up, and just I'm excited. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I appreciate all of you that have cheered me on, supported me all this way. I will continue doing my best in sharing what works and doesn't work. So, but that sigh right there, I've just felt so hard. And I will say exercise too. I forgot to say I'm still doing exercise, 10,000 steps. But I'll talk all about that in more depth. This video has gotten as long as it has. So don't forget, if you want to try Element, use my special link, get your free sample pack with any purchase. And that free sample pack contains all the popular flavors. I am Jess. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the next one. Bye.